Ciao everybody, my name is Joey. Welcome to my channel. I am so excited for what I have on my beading mat today. It is my magical mystery bead box for the month of August 2025. It's called the Pony Express, and I have to confess that my son and I, one of our favorite trilogy of movies is Back to the Future. So this whole thing reminds me of Back to the Future 3 when the Pony Express delivers the letter to Marty from the Wild West. And so I'm adding in some things that the idea kind of came from that movie. And really cool, on your postcard, if you take your phone and you scan this QR code, there is a special video that I created for the Jesse James Beads subscribers to the Magical Mystery Bead Box, and it is such a cute project, and I really love it. And I have to preface my work today by saying this is 100% not my style. I am not much of a cowgirl. I don't have any boots, any Western boots. I like that whole thing is just not really my look. But I am totally in love with this box, and I am having so much fun with it, so much so that since I was working with the box to make the QR code video for all the subscribers, the ideas just kept coming and coming. So in today's video for my channel, I'm going to show you what's in the box really quickly, and I'm going to make a full necklace, a classic, like a twist on a classic Y necklace. I'm going to do a really beautiful pair of earrings and a really whimsical pendant to go on a leather cord. So let's jump in. Let me show you everything that is in the box. I'm going to start with this little tube here that was called Cactus Farm. In this tube, there were 3 little spiky little beaded beads, and they're so beautifully done. And they have a little jump ring at the top, and they are sparkle and they're textural, and it's a really beautiful neutral color, really the color of a cactus, and I adore these. It might be my favorite thing in the box. I do have a couple of favorites, but these are I'm using every single one of them. Wait until you see what these look like in the design. So I'm super excited about those. And then this little wooden bead mix is called Saddle Up, and it is so amazing. I just have to jump right to these. Look at these little cowgirl boots. They're two-sided, so they have the embossing on both sides so they can dangle. You can wire wrap them. You can place them in your design the way you actually would sit your boots when you take them off, or just do one boot. They're so cute. I love them, and these are going to go in my pendant necklace, so I'll set those aside. And then the wooden bead mix is awesome, and I love that this is pushing the boundaries for me because I don't work a lot with wooden beads. But look at this stunning wooden coin bead. I just love it. And these natural beads with the big hole, I did something special with mine. I'll show you that. And I just love even the flowers. There's 3 different tones of wood in the flower, including an ebony wood. So it's just so beautiful and so eclectic. And kind of I don't know, just kind of a country vibe. I absolutely love it. I just have had so much fun, and like I said, if I was ordering beads, this is probably not anything I would even look at. And so this has pushed me out of my comfort zone, and my designs are just I think they're amazing, for something that I wouldn't normally work with. So I'm super excited about it. Okay, there was also this really beautiful little pack. Let me pull that in. It is called Lone Star. What did I do with the package? I was going to show you the package. It's called Lone Star. It looks like that. And there is this gorgeous connector. It's so pretty. That would make such a pretty bracelet bar. But also in that were 3 denim rose connectors, like a desert rose. And they are just so beautifully made. They have a little jump ring on each side, so they are ready to go. And you're going to be seeing these in 2 of my designs. And so on this note, as I said, I was thinking about the Pony Express and the Old West and the 1800s, and I was thinking about that movie and how in the movie the heroine was called Calico because she wore these pretty little calico dresses. So I have taken some yo-yo circles. I'm working, those of you that know what it is, what a yo-yo quilt is, I am working on one, and I have some little floral and little calico cutouts, and I have taken those and a wooden bead from the mix and made a little fabric covered bead to go in one of my designs, and I'll show you how I did that. And it's so cute, you guys. It's what I'm gonna do is like the little calico dress, and then the jeans, and then the little I can't hold on to anything tonight, and then the little boots at the bottom. So it's going to be like a poetic or like a metaphorical little calico country girl in the Old West. I am so excited about the design. So I'll show you how really simple with needle and thread how I did that. And so that's going to be one of the designs in my video today. So let me set these little guys aside. And there were 2 chains in the box, and I love both of them. They're it's a mix of gold and silver. So this one is called Gold Rush, and it's this really pretty like old world gold. And then the rodeo chain is the same link exactly, but in an antiqued silver. And I'm going to use both of these and mix them together. I'm going to add in some components to make it a little bit of a beaded chain. So that's going to go in my Y necklace design. And then this strand is absolutely amazing. It's called Into the Sunset. Every single one of these crystals has a different shape, from heart to square to stop sign to teardrop to round. They're faceted and sparkly, and they have a beautiful profile, which you'll see what I did with mine. This little edge on all of these beads is quite important in my design, and I can't wait to show you. I just can't wait to show you, especially these hearts are so cute. So I just love that. This bead, this strand, Jesse James Beads does an amazing job with their strands. Honestly, when you get a strand, you don't have to overthink it. You could literally just string this and make the focal on a necklace with it and add some chain to the back, or string it up as a bracelet. It's just so gorgeous, but it's packed with a little bit of bling, some ceramic beads, some spacers and bead caps, gorgeous bead frames, these really cool like star beads. What else is on here? Oh, I love it when we get these little crystal balls that it's opaline instead of clear. That's so pretty, and it looks so great with the colors in the box. And then, you know, if you know me for like 5 seconds, how valuable I think seed beads are in our work. So we got this little tube of 11O seed beads, and it's marked high noon. And they're just so cute. They're this perfect like golden color, like wheat color, perfect for autumn jewelry. And it's such a nice little accent color to this box. And then this is so adorable. This is called Yeehaw. It's so cute. I don't even know if I can do that well, but this is just a whole little tube of bead caps and discs and spacers, and just like there's so much to work with. The Magical Mystery Bead Box in this regard is magical. I never use these all up, and I feel like I make and make and make, and I still have my whole little jar ready, but some of the things in here are just stunning. This is my favorite in here. I also love these, and I love that a lot of these spacers have really large holes. That gives you so many opportunities for special stringing and designs. So just a gorgeous, gorgeous little bead mix. And let's see if I'm missing anything. My mat is always so full. This, I don't want to miss this. This is the Monument Valley bead mix, and this is amazing. I love this bead mix, and I'm going to be pulling from this. There are these rondelles that are faceted, and they're in the color of denim, so they look so great with the denim roses. And I love these kind of rice-shaped table cut crystals. This is such a beautiful color, and it works back to the hearts in the bead strand. And I have to say, this is like a genius accent color. Let me put these on a little head pin so that you can see them. This color is so gorgeous with the denims and the browns and the greens in the box, if I can get it on here. It's so they're faceted little rondelle crystals, but look at that gorgeous color. And that kind of reminded me of like what you see in a calico dress, or so it's like such a perfect vintage Western, old West vibe. I just love it. I also am crazy about these golden crystal cube beads that are in the mix. There are teardrops, crystal brio teardrops in this mix, and these are stunning. These are kind of that denim blue, little tiny teardrop, but it's not drilled as a brio, it's up and down, and so those just add so much sparkle to the designs. And let's see what else. Is there anything I'm missing in here? I showed you the little denim crystals. I think that's everything. Oh no, I got that one. The Jessie James bead mixes are so packed. It's very easy to miss things. You can really get lost in one of their bead mixes. But look at the color palette here. It's so stunning, and it looks so amazing with the denim and the wood. It's just, it's just so much fun. And like I say, I'm so excited about it. And on my own, this is not somewhere that I would have gone in the bead world, but I love this so much. If you can't tell, I'm having a blast with it. Okay, let me just, I think that's everything. Let me clean up a little bit, make some space here, and we are going to get to making. Okay, you guys, so my earrings are done, and you guys have seen me do these all-in-one ear wires before, and I did this herringbone wrap on the heart crystal with simple loops at the bottom so I could add my little cactus beads, and I absolutely adore these earrings. And then I did another one of those in a pendant form, like in a charm form, that can hang from the bottom of my necklace. So that's going to connect to my denim flower, and this is the Y part of my necklace, and I've separated my gold and silver chain. I've taken 6 links of the silver and 6 links of the gold, and I'm going to link them together with this little component. I've just been playing in the bead mix. And that's going to give me the Y part. And then I did the herringbone wrap on another one of the crystals from the strands, but I took one of the bead caps from the mix here and used E6000 glue and glued it right in the middle of the crystal. And then I have a little flat back crystal here. Whoops, focus camera. I have a little flat back crystal that I glued on top of that to embellish the center of my herringbone component. So I'm going to show you how I did that. It's on a piece of 20 gauge wire, and then I'm going to take one of the heart beads. I have him right here. Before I put my heart bead on, I'm going to grab I cut a little length about 24 inches of 24 gauge wire. You could use 22 or even 26. The 24 shows up really nicely though. And so what I'm going to do is come to a little section on my core wire. I'm going to call the 20 gauge my core wire, and I'm just going to get two little wraps in here. And just it's, this part is a little fiddly to get to get like a little 2 or 3 wrap coil that's nice and tight. But don't worry about how it looks, because the way that I do herringbone, I'm going to wrap right on top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that snip that little tail, and just take a second here to scrunch my wraps together and even chase that wire around. Just chase it around my core wire just to tighten it a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to leave myself a good length, like maybe 3 inches above and below my bead. And the reason for that is that whatever of my fine gauge wire is left, I'm going to wrap it down and add that decorative element to what's left over, and then coil it, and that makes a really beautiful, like, fancy drop on my heart. So I'm going to I've lost my bead. I'm going to start by putting my my heart bead so that the point is where I start wrapping. I think it's a little bit easier on a heart shape than starting your wraps up here at the bow of the heart. And what I'm going to do is just bring this wire up. I want to push this a little bit because I want more space down here for my coil than I do up here. And I'm just going to bring this wire down the side of my heart bead, and I'm going to get a hold of it with my thumb and finger nice and tight. And I'm going to come up here. I'll just use my thumb to get the wire down to the bow in the heart. And I'm going to do just 2 wraps here around and come back around to the top. So, and I know this is you always start out with a little bit of wire that you have to deal with, and you can pause at any moment. Like if you feel like you want to tighten things up, you can take your pliers and push that into place. So now this wire is on the top of my core wire, and I'm just going to rotate this and just kind of deal with this. I'll put it over the edge of the table, and I'm going to get it to come down this side of the heart. Just get, you'll get a rhythm. When I go slow trying to explain, I tend to have more problems than when I just do it. But I'm going to come down the side of the heart and get a hold of that with my thumb and my finger. And now I'm going to come right on the top of those first wraps, nice and tight, and go around to the back and back around to the front. And I even like to take my nylon jaw pliers and just snuggle things a little bit if I need to. And now my wire is on top of my core wire, so I'm going to place it behind that first wrap going down the side of the bead, and again, thumb and forefinger, and I want to bring it on top of my core wire and wrap around to the back and back around to the front. And I'm going to just fill this up. I think that I was able to go 4 times. And just rotate your work. So I'm going to go behind my first wrap, get a hold of it. I'm coming on top of the core wire and placing it right on top of my last wrap, and go behind and back around to the front. And then I'm going to do the same thing, just keep going until there's no more space on the side of my heart bead. If you're nylon jaw pliers, if your wire is, becomes kinked or it's not straight enough, there's no rush. Like, straighten that out before you keep going. I want it to lay nice and straight down the side of my heart bead. Okay, so I have 4 wraps on this side and only 3 on this side. And because I want to make that little curly Q at the bottom, I definitely need to be down here, get back down here with my finer gauge wire. So this will be my last one. I'm going to come behind all my other wraps, snuggle that right in there. Get it nice and straight so it lays in there. Okay, behind my wraps, and get a hold of it with my thumb and finger and go on top and behind. And now I am going to wrap this finer wire, just wrap it around my core wire. And so let me do that and I'll show you. So from here, if you wanted to do my earrings, here's one of the earrings. So from here, you can either put a bead on the top, or what I did on my earrings is I came right here and got a hold of this and gave it a little bit of a bend, just a tiny bit. I'm not keeping anything in place, and I used my bail making plier to make this little ear hook. So you can make like a herringbone heart earring, like all in one, and then down here you can coil, you can snip it off, you can do a simple loop like I did and hang another bead from the bottom. So, from here, you can go into an earring, you can go into like a really cool charm for anything. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you that because this is super fun to make this little curly Q at the bottom. And I did this one so that there's a hole in the middle of my curly Q that I could fit a jump ring and add something else, but you don't have to. You could stop with the, with the little coil. So all I'm going to do is use the rest of this wire, and I'm just going to wrap around really neatly, one coil not between, behind the previous. And so there's like a little bit of space on mine, which I don't really want. So like every few wraps, I'll come in and with my nylon jaw pliers, just snuggle those wraps. And you know, sometimes you get a good rhythm and you don't need to do that. Most of the time I need to do it. But it's super easy. Like I'll just do a few wraps and I'm just going to use up this. Every few wraps, I'll just push everything down and just keep going to the end of, well, till I have enough length for a nice spiral or until I run out of wire. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I feel like I have enough. I could do the whole length if I wanted to, but I'm going to stop there and I'm going to trim a little bit of this. I have enough here to make another component, so I'm going to just trim right there. And so like I said, up here I can do a wire wrapped loop. I can turn this into an earring. If I want a simple loop, I can string beads to this. That's why I gave myself a nice long core wire so that I could play with it. But what I'm going to do is I gave myself a little area to start coiling that is not wrapped, just because I think it's a little bit easier and because I want to have a little space for a jump ring. So instead of starting my spiral way down here on the tip of my plier, since I want to have a little hole in the middle of my spiral for a jump ring and a charm, I'm going to come down here and just start making a little loop. I want it nice and round and just get it where, you know, kind of like where it touches. And then from here, this is a normal spiral in small increments. I'm just going to wind this. In fact, I'm going to trim this a little bit. I don't like the shape it's already taking. So you can always do that. You can always go inside your spiral if you don't quite get your first loop just right, and you know, make a little adjustment and put my plier back in there and just get it. I want to get it really nice and round. There we go. Feel better about that. Just do a little adjustment. It's always better in wire working, if you're not happy with something, to stop and fix it before you go on to the next step. So I'm just going to coil this spiral, and you'll see as I start to coil over what I have wrapped, you'll see that it spreads it a little bit and it just takes on this really, really cool little shape. I'm going to come right here because I want to center my coil. Just bend it. Look at that. It's so pretty. And so I have space to put a jump ring if I want to dangle something, you know, if I want anything. If you wanted to hang the rose from here, which is what I'm going to do on my piece. It's just a really fun little technique. And then like from here, I'll just leave this because I've already made my other ones. This was my sample for you guys. But like I said, from here, earring, a pendant, a charm, you know, anything you want with it. From, you know, once you got the technique, you can do so much with it. Okay, so that is that little bit. And I'm crazy about these earrings. And so what I plan to do here, I've just played in these two mixes, and I'm going to do both sides of my Y necklace the same. So I need 2 of each component. So I've done 2 of those, and I've done 2 of these, and I'll show you how I did this one. I need to do another one of those. So I'm just going to take a little tiny piece that I cut off of that 20 gauge wire, and when I am making components, I love my one-step looper. This is the 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. So I'm just going to put my simple loop in there, and I've fed on one of these little peachy crystals, one of these bead caps, one of these denim faceted rondelles, another bead cap and another peachy bead, and it's just beautiful. The two mixes are just beautiful. And I'm going to come to this side and fit this in my one-step looper again, gently close my tool, watch what I'm doing here. It makes my cut, it makes my loop, pull it down as I close. My loop is now centered. I do see that I twisted a little bit in here, just a tiny bit. So I align my loops if they became misaligned, and there we go. And I am going to I always put my pliers to all my loops and work hard with a little bit of force by opening and closing. And so now what I'm going to do, because I need more length, and I also want this to be a really cool mix of gold and silver. So my Y part is basically designed, I just need to attach. So let's go ahead and attach the Y. Let's go ahead. So on this one, I did a simple loop, and I can actually open this simple loop just like that and attach it to the jump ring on the bottom of my denim flower. Close that back up. The jump rings on the flowers can be opened as well. So there's that. And then I'm going to come to the top here and add in my silver chain. So I will open the jump ring on my flower this time. And I'm going to add in these 6 links of my silver chain. So we're building the Y part. And for some reason on this necklace, I decided to start from the bottom up. And then I have a whole pile of jump rings here because everything else is going to get attached with jump rings. Let me get my little jump ring tool on. So I'm going to put this jump ring through my chain and then add this little component that I made the same way. Get on there, little guy. Because for me, this was not long enough. These 2 chains together was still not long enough for a Y necklace for me, especially with such a bold drop. I really don't want this up too high. I want it down around my waist. So I wanted my Y necklace to be pretty long. So adding in these components adds length, and adding them in with jump rings also is a great way to add length when you feel your chain is a little bit too short for your design. So I'm going to add the jump ring and then the gold chain. So my 2 chains are transitioning from gold to silver with this little beautiful little component. Now, as I build this, you guys are not going to be able to see this on my mat because it's going to be long. I love long necklaces, so I will definitely put some good pictures up for you so you can see the finished product. I think Gabriella Eva is going to need to wear this. So next I'm going to attach what is going at the center of my Y. So that is this component, and I did the round crystal the exact same way that I did the heart. And honestly, I don't see one is harder than the other. The round crystal is just as easy to do the herringbone wrap as the heart. So I'm going to close this jump ring. And now from here, I am ready to add in my other 2 chains. So I'm going to open this jump ring, and that's going to go onto this component, and then on one side of it I'm going to add my gold chain, and on the other side I'm going to add my silver chain and close that really well. So I'm at the Y, I'm building upward. Let me move my little components here. Let me make a little space. And so now what I want to do is add in my components. So I'm going to count because I don't want it asymmetrical. I want both sides to be the same. And so my drop is hanging over the edge, you guys. I can't help it. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on this 7th one right here, I'm going to snip this link and open it and add in one of my components right there. So which one do we want it to be? The crystal one. I think I'm going to start with the crystal, then the denim, then the beigey one. I think that's going to be my rotation. And it's the same thing. I'm going to do it with a jump ring on every connection. I'm going to add the jump ring and add my component, and that's going to give me a little bit of length, and these little bead stations really pop when you connect them with jump rings. So same thing on this side. So I have decided not to try to match the two sides of my Y necklace because the gold and the silver chain links are a little bit different, and also because I decided that since I'm mixing gold and silver to make it a more pleasant mix, I want to switch my colors. So I want to put like a little silver section here, a gold section, and I want to, flip them around. So I am going to move a few things around here, just mix this up and make it a little bit more random than what I started out to do. Okay, you guys, as I said, I will put up some better pictures because this is so pretty. My Y part is just beautiful, and like I said, I started out to do both sides the same, but doing it this way allowed me to make it a little bit more whimsical and also to get in more of the bead mix. So that's what my body of my necklace looks like, and it's just beautiful. It's really a delicate Y necklace, but also bold with a statement. So I am thrilled with the way that it turned out, and as I was snipping my chain, as you can see, I alternated, like it goes from silver to gold and just kind of random, but it's just so stunning and it's got a little sparkle to it. I just love it. Okay, we're gonna jump to this really simple pendant. I have a selection of jump rings that are fancy like this. They came in gold and silver, and there's 4 different sizes, and they are stainless steel, so they're really great for chains and pendants. And what I plan to do is use my handmade fabric bead for the top of this pendant, and this is going to go in the top so that my leather cord, I think a brown leather cord or even a pink or denim leather going through this will just be so pretty. And then to the bottom of my rose, I'm going to add a smaller one, and I am going to wire wrap my little boots, make a handmade spiral head pin, and do a little stack. I'm going to do this one, and I want them to hang from this jump ring, like almost like I took my boots off. But before we assemble the pendant, let me show you how I did a fabric covered bead. And there are other ways to do this, like you can use glue to cover your beads. If you have a large enough hole, you can actually do strips of fabric and like wind it inside. But I did this today. I also pulled in a couple of kind of large bead caps from my stash. The ones in the box, the ones in the Magical Mystery Bead Box, I use them here, and they do work, but the holes on this bead are quite large, and there's going to be a little bit of sewing. So you need a needle and thread, a regular sewing needle, not a number 10 or 12 beading needle because you'll break it. I don't think you'll be able to get through. This is a regular sewing needle. And I'm just going to put my bead like in here. You'll also need a really sharp pair of scissors. And I'm using these little pre-cut circles from the yo-yo quilt project that I have going on. But I'm just going to gather this around my wooden bead. And you can also, another way to do this is to do a running stitch and gather it up. And for a larger bead, I might do that. But all I did is, it's very easy to find the hole. I don't know if you can see through the camera, but it's very easy to find the hole on these beads because they're quite large. But I'm just going to get it gathered up around my bead as tightly and as neatly as I can. Just get it between my fingers. And I have a knot on the end of my thread, and I'm going to just come through here and sew through. And you can go like around. What I did before on my other one is I came around with my thread and just go from side to side. Now you can do a running stitch on this ahead of time and put your bead in there and pull. You can do it that way. But you know, it's not meant to be a pristine, like perfect bead. And I found this was pretty easy to get it secure. You can also use glue when I make my boho beads, when I make my, my fabric beads. Sometimes when I'm all done with everything, I will put a little bit of glue on the tip. So what I usually do is see how I feel about how secure it is when I'm done. And I'm just going to do a few stitches here. All this is going to get cut away, so I'm trying to stay down right above my bead with my needle, so that when I cut, when I cut away the extra fabric, I don't cut into where I've gathered it. It's already looking really great. So wherever you see I have like a little bit there that's kind of loose, so I'm just going to poke back through and get over there and just tack that down. And my needle is like skimming the very top of the bead, which is what you want, because when we cut all that away, we don't want to cut our thread. So I want to stay, I don't want to be, if I'm not explaining it, I don't want to be sewing like up here on the part that I'm going to cut away. I'm skimming the top of my bead. I can feel it when I put my needle through. Okay, I'm ready to just tie a little knot anywhere here. And I am going to snip this thread. I am very careful with my needle and thread because I have a dog and a cat, and I've heard stories about them getting into trouble. So I'm going to take a really nice sharp pair of scissors. In fact, I don't want to make a mess on my beading mat, so I'm going to get a little plastic dish to catch all of this. And I'm going to be careful not to cut into what I've sewn, but I'm just going to trim away all of this fabric. Get as close as you can. Now, if you want to, you can glue the top here and then put your bead cap on. Pretty well in my bead cap. So I just need a piece of 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to start with a wrapped loop on one end before I feed it on. Okay, and now I'm going to feed on my bead cap and just poke through. I can see, I'm just going to poke my wire through my fabric there. I can see the little indent where the hole is on the bead. And then I'm just going to poke through my little gathered section on this end. Just get in there. If you want to cut a sharp angle on your 20 gauge wire, but when you wiggle it through, it comes through pretty well. So I have my little bead cap on that end. And now here, if you want to put a little bit of like E6000 glue or even Aleene's fabric glue, you could totally do that. But I don't usually do it unless I've snipped my thread when I'm making these beads, because what I'm going to do is come right here and pull this really, really tight. And I'm going to use my wire to wrap this bead cap down nice and tight. So just get in there and, do a normal wire wrapped loop. But when I start wrapping this wire down, it's going to tighten my bead cap down onto my fabric. So that, it's just one way of doing it. I don't have a super long piece of wire, so I'm just going to wrap around, but you can always go back and add glue if you feel like you've snipped a thread, or just tuck that wire right in there. So that makes the bead cap nice and tight on the bead, and it's so pretty to have a little textile element in your, I'm going to do this one. I had this one with a little bit of blue and kind of the beigey color that was in the bead mix, but that's how you do that. That's one way to do it. And I have a video coming on other ways to do fabric covered beads, but that was just a fun little add-in because I saw calico in this box. So this is a really simple connecting project, but I'm going to show you what I did on the little boot. So the spiral the hole on the boot is between the heel and the sole of the shoe. So the spiral can't be too big. So I'm going to come to this end and, you know, stay down on the tip of my pliers and make a really small little loop, because you only need, for this spiral, you only need a few turns. It looks so much better. A handmade head pin looks so much better than like a ball head pin for the boot. I don't know, I just liked it better. So that's about what I did, just like 2 or 3 turns. And then I'm going to get a hold of my wire where I stopped spiraling, and I'm going to use this to hold on to as best I can, and just get this. Sometimes when your spiral is not very big, you need a second pair of pliers to hold on to it. There we go. Just bend that straight up to turn it into a head pin. Get this nice and smooth, but straight. And now the reason that I did a wire wrapped loop is because I didn't want my boots to spin around. I wanted to wrap this one going in this direction, and I wanted to wrap this one going in this direction, so when they hang from my pendant, they sort of, you know, hang the right way. And I'm just gonna reach off to the side here and get one of those silver disc spacers and one of these pretty little peachy crystals. And so I always found I couldn't keep my spiral in place too well until I got down to the bead. I can then change it. But I'm going to come to the top of the boot, and since I'm looking at my orientation on connecting this jump ring is going to be parallel to my mat. Okay, so I'm going to hold this way, and I'll be able to turn my spiral facing forward, but this jump ring is going to be parallel to my mat, so I need to attach my little boot charm going in that direction. So 90-degree bend. The orientation matters when you connect things. It really does make them hang better. So like I said, I'm doing a wire wrapped loop so that I can secure my boots in hanging without spinning in the direction that I want them in. A simple loop is nice, and it could, you know, if that doesn't drive you crazy on your jewelry, you could do a simple loop here. But I want this loop to be going perpendicular to my mat for when I add it into the jump ring, and I want my spiral here to be facing forward. So I'm going to get this down to my beads and get everything going in the direction that I want before I snip and tuck everything. Okay, this is going to go on the bottom of my rose, and then I'm just going to add in my little boots. Oh, that is so cute. Close that really well. That is so cute to have the little boots hanging. And then I'm going to open this top jump ring on this little rose and add my fabric bead right to that. And then this big ring is what I will use as a bail for this little whimsical Pony Express pendant. I actually love this so much. I love the whimsy, and I love it when my jewelry actually tells a story. And so like for this, as I said, when I was trying to unbox and show you, to me, this is like a little calico dress or a calico little top. And this is the denim, and then your little cowgirl boots at the bottom. I think that is just the sweetest little pendant, and it's such a little metaphor for a little old Western outfit or a costume in an old Western movie. So I just love, love, love this box. I am crazy about the crystals in this box. They were so lovely to work with, and there's so much to embellish if you're liking to do the wire work like I did. This is just so gorgeous, and I'm crazy about the Y part of my necklace. And what I love about this is that my embellished crystals are down low where I can see them and play with them during the day. And for me, these long necklaces are so elongating and trimming, you know, and I'm more comfortable with things not up too close to my neck because I live in a hot climate. So for me, this is lightweight and delicate, but it's bold and stunning at the same time. I'm just crazy about my projects. And you guys, don't forget to scan the QR code on your card that came on the inside of your box, your Pony Express card, because there's another great project. Sometimes I do the QR code videos, and sometimes it's Deb Floros, and there's a couple of other people that make videos for the Jessie James Beads channel, but that is a very special project, and it is stunning, and I loved it so much. As you could see, I got really enthused about my own, my video for my own channel. Also, under the video title here, tap more, and then you have to hit more a second time to reveal my entire description box. But I have a discount code for Jessie James Beads, and you can use it to subscribe to the Magical Mystery Bead Box or to shop the website. And a lot of people don't understand that the longer you sign up to receive the Magical Mystery Bead Box, the lower the price becomes. So if you sign up to receive it for a whole year, it is like around $30 a month, I think. It's been a while since I checked that, so don't quote me on that. But if you only sign up for 3 months, you pay a little more. I think they offer 6 months. But check the website on that, because you can bring the cost way down. And my discount code works on the Magical Mystery Bead Box subscription or shopping the website. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope this is a really fun, like, transitional project going into fall, and I will see you all in the next video. Ciao, everybody.